man, here's your order.
Hey, can I get that unionized?
Oh, I'm sorry, we don't do that here. Oh, why not? There's only one of our stores that's unionized, and I think it's in Buffalo.
Hey, what's going on here?
Who's that?
I'm the regional VP of Starbucks for this area.
Oh, hey, can I not wear the apron today? Did you sleep here overnight?
No.
3 nights.
I just want to make sure that our workers are happy, like with that $17 minimum wage we promised you.
Oh, well, this guy wants to make his order unionized.
Oh no, we can't do that.
Why not?
Well, then every store is gonna make unionized, and it's like, ugh.
I thought that was pretty good. Anyway, my name is James Lee. Welcome to my channel 5149, where I talk business, politics, and society. And today we're going to talk about unionizing Starbucks. Specifically, I want to dive into what happens after a successful union drive and the bag of tricks corporations still have to stymie workers' rights. That is pretty awesome to see. And just to catch you up, since the workers at that Buffalo Starbucks voted on December 9th, 2021, late last year, to form the coffee chain's first union in the United States, the National Labor Relations Board announced just this past week that it had certified a victory for a union at a second Starbucks store in the Buffalo area. In fact, as of right now, Starbucks workers in 9 different cities are looking to unionize. Locations in Massachusetts, Tennessee, New York, Illinois, Colorado, Arizona, Washington, and Oregon are looking to secure what they are calling, quote, appropriate wages and working conditions. I think this is exactly what Starbucks and their executives were so fearful of, this kind of domino effect. One union store will lead to a second and a third and so on and so forth. Can you believe these workers? The audacity, asking for appropriate wages and working conditions? We got to put an end to this. Our investors are very concerned. But now seriously, this is just an opinion of mine, but for a business to be successful or to be considered successful and even allowed to generate shareholder return, appropriate wages and working conditions, I think, should be a baseline requirement.
Jazz Brissac is a barista at the Elmwood Starbucks store there. This is now the first location of Starbucks to unionize. She's with Starbucks Workers United. Welcome to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us, Jazz. Why don't you explain the significance of your victory and also what Starbucks did, bringing in management from all over, the highest levels, to try to pressure workers?
Starbucks sent in a SWAT team, they called it, of upper managers, over 100 of them, led by the president of Starbucks North America, Rosanne Williams. And these managers came into our stores. They were there in every shift, every day part, pulling people off the floor, working on the floor so that they could prevent us from being able to have honest conversations with our partners.
I mean, come on, what kind of business are you running if you're needing to send in the cavalry to discourage employees from achieving something, once again, as reasonable as appropriate wages and working conditions? This is from the Starbucks website. We call our employees partners because we are all partners in shared success. It doesn't seem to mesh. Something's not right here. So what's next? Because a company like Starbucks, and what I mean by that is a company that fired a manager after she exposed the company's union busting activity. A company like that isn't just going to go away quietly. They're not going to just give up the fight that easily.
As important as this first victory is, we also know that companies have a whole range of tactics that they use to try to never negotiate that first contract. When we saw this happen with Dollar General in Missouri, there was a store that voted for a union. The company engaged in these sort of sham contract negotiations, and ultimately when they were forced to recognize the union, they just shut the store down. So what are some of the things that you will be pushing for in terms of contract negotiations, and what have your interactions with corporate been like to this point?
Well, I mean, most of my interactions with corporate have been when, they've had top executives in the stores telling us to vote no. I haven't had that many interactions with them.
So nothing. They've done nothing because, as it turns out, there's a lot they can do to draw out the negotiation process once a store has voted to unionize. But the fact is, more than half of all workers who vote for a union still don't have a contract a year later. 37% of new private sector unions don't have a contract 2 years after an election. That's an alarming statistic. I mean, I didn't really realize this until a short time ago, but forming a union is just the beginning of a long fight ahead. Once a union has won an election, the company is required to bargain, quote, in good faith. But that requirement doesn't have real teeth. If a company refuses to bargain, the National Labor Relations Board typically issues an order commanding the company to, well, bargain. It's not like we don't have labor laws in this country. We do, obviously, but a lot of times they're akin to having speed limits that are, more guidelines than laws. And if you do get pulled over, all you have to do is say something like, my bad, officer, I'll see what I can do to slow it down next time. And then you just drive away. In fact, a company can give the appearance of good faith bargaining while avoiding any real progress, giving the union skimpy, unserious offers, or slow walking the exchange of relevant documents, all without completely stonewalling. I'm interjecting a little bit of humor here, but these deliberate heel-dragging antics do have serious consequences for unions and the lives of workers. Stalling tactics and a lack of progress in bargaining can dissuade workers from unionizing by conveying the sense that it's futile, even if you win the recognition election. Delay and surface bargaining can deflate the union's momentum, and the law allows workers to petition to decertify the union 1 year after the union is certified. Employers can thereby delay real bargaining in the hope of making the union seem ineffectual, all the while drumming up anti-union sentiment and laying the groundwork for a rerun of their anti-union campaign. Yeah, we didn't like how that turned out, so maybe let's just forget about that whole thing. Do-over. Yes, we can do a do-over. I'm legit a little bit nervous about this because, like we just talked about, it has happened a lot in the past, and it's going to happen going forward, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, to hopefully keep applying that public pressure. The baristas at Starbucks could face this kind of campaign. The problems that unions encounter in this phase of their dealings with the employer, heel-dragging in negotiations, and surface bargaining about window dressing issues, are more nuanced and complex than those they battle pre-election. Union busting is disgusting, fits nicely on a union placard, but how would you succinctly sloganize the harm from disingenuous surface bargaining or slow-walking the sharing of key information? It's a subtler, passive-aggressive version of union opposition, but it's hard to explain to the public and hard to address under current law. The reality is corporations are really good at things like exploiting tax loopholes or figuring out creative ways to cut costs or tweaking their marketing to one-up the competitor, because that's what management has been incentivized to do. But unfortunately, they aren't really built to consider the human cost in any of their decisions, because that's not how the incentive structure is designed.
And could you talk, Jazz, about some of the conditions that prompted the employees to believe that they needed to unionize?
I mean, honestly, we were unionizing because we wanted a voice in the workplace. We didn't think that, Starbucks was by any means the worst employer. There's things that could always be better. We really just want to voice on the job, and we don't believe that any job should not have a union.
I don't think they're asking for much there, but something I have to keep reminding myself of is that people have differing perspectives and values. So even though I think Starbucks workers are asking for, something completely reasonable, maybe not even enough in my opinion, there are other people out there who are, somehow pro-union, pro-labor, but think this type of job isn't deserving of a union. Like somehow it's a mockery to the labor movement. And my response to that is, all workers should be able to unionize if they want to, because unions create a healthy system of checks and balances between capital and labor. A critical pillar in the US Constitution is a system of checks and balances. And that is something that's very much lacking in corporate governance. And I think companies understand that people believe in representation, believe in checks and balances. But they also know that if there was a legitimate system of checks and balances in place, they would lose this kind of supreme power they've enjoyed over workers. So, they might do some symbolic BS like this. Starbucks executives tote the fact that at every board meeting, they leave 2 chairs empty, one for a barista and one for a customer. However, these chairs are entirely metaphorical, and those stakeholders are never actually invited. How cringe is that? 2 empty chairs. Part of the reason why I make videos, and this one in particular, is to push back against this idea that the market is fair, that the market accurately prices labor, or this narrative that only certain kinds of jobs deserve union representation. Those ideas are ones that have been ingrained in us through education, the media, and shaped by people who have something to lose if such a thing as solidarity were to spread far and wide. Not to make a mockery of Starbucks here, but I think it's time for employees to get an actual, not metaphorical seat at the table. Those are my thoughts of the week. Very positive developments for labor. I didn't get to talk about this at all, but the PRO Act is still in Congress, an actual good bill. So let's see if either party is interested in such a thing as checks and balances. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments section below. What else do you want to hear about? Also, if you could help me out, click on that like button, share this video, and consider subscribing. If you feel inclined, click on that notification bell icon so I can keep making more videos for you. And as always, I want to thank you so much for your time today, and I'll see you next week.